All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Once again, before we get started, we want to send you all our well wishes during this current pandemic of COVID-19. We know that this is a very trying time. As we always state, we know that it is the uncertainty that fuels our anxiety, but it was revealed today that the head football coach of the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, he tested positive along with the defensive coordinator. So folks, this is getting real. We wanted sports to come back. As you see, a lot of professional football players have been testing positive. So this thing is serious, folks, and let's continue to practice the proper safety protocols, practice our social distancing, continue wearing masks and washing our hands, and doing our part to slow the spread of this virus. And if we at Chin Check Radio can continue to be a distraction with everything that's going on, then that's something that we are proud to do and we will continue to do. Again, we want to thank you all for your tremendous support. Once again, as I've always stated, that at least every other day or once a week, somebody is reaching out to us because they happen to be told about our program or they happen to really just stumble upon our program and that they really like our content. They love the things that we speak of and the things that we speak about. They love our passion and they love the truth that we spit. And all we are on this platform are people who are just sharing our love with professional sports and other issues of professional sports, and we're just sharing our passion with the world. Nothing more, nothing less. So we thank you for your tremendous support, and we will continue to bring you quality programming. Now, we have a fight in town this weekend and we are definitely looking forward to it. And by we say in town, obviously it's not coming to a town near us, but that's the phrase that we use. But we do have a big fight this weekend between undefeated Teofimo Lopez and the regarded number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Vasiliy Lomachenko. Now, this fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a fight that is the ultimate question of what happens when masterful and precision technique meets devastating power. That question is going to be answered where either somebody is going to get knocked out, somebody can be outboxed, you're going to see leather flying. It is definitely an exciting fight for most hardcore fight fans. Obviously, these guys aren't really huge, big stars outside of the hardcore boxing fans. But for us, this fight is definitely a much needed fight, a fight that's very exciting, and we're going to break this down. So, Teofimo Lopez, only at the age of 23 years old, stands at 5'8" with a 68.5-inch reach. Now, doesn't really have a lot of fights on his resume because, again, he only has 15 professional fights, 12 big knockouts, and 3 decisions. And he's undefeated. Now, February of 2019, a knockout in the 7th round versus one Diego Magdaleno. And in December of 2019, a TKO victory in the 2nd round, and actually a very impressive knockout against Richard Comey to become the IBF lightweight championship, which sets up the unification fight against Vasiliy Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko himself, he's undefeated, standing at 5'7" inches tall with a 65.5-inch reach, 15 total fights, 14 wins, 10 knockout, and only 1 loss. And we're going to discuss that loss, why that loss is actually very impressive, all things considering. Lomachenko won gold medals in the Olympics, both in 2008 in Beijing in the featherweight division and 2012 in London, England in the lightweight division. Now, his second professional fight, and that's going to start about his major fights, was against one Orlando Salido. Now, even though Lomachenko only lost 1 amateur fight, has probably over 450-something amateur wins, fight fans know that the Olympics are different from professional ranks. The scoring is different, the styles are different, you're not wearing headgear, you're not wearing thicker gloves. Now, we've seen a lot of professionals who've done well in the Olympics who have gone on to have professional success. However, we have amateurs and we've had Olympians who have not had a great successful career. And if anything, if you want to use the term busts as a professional, we can also use that as well. So it goes both ways. Now, In Lomachenko's second fight, he fights Orlando Salido, who at that time already had 56 professional fights. Let me say this again. In Lomachenko's second fight, where he was hoping to tie a record, and I forget the fighter's name, whose record he was hoping to tie, fights Salido in his second professional fight, loses by split decision. Salido had 56 professional fights. You want to talk about a serious experience gap. So to only lose by split decision really says a lot about this guy. It says a lot about Lomachenko. Now, Salido has 2 quality victories over what was supposed to be future Puerto Rican star Juan Manuel Lopez. Now, that was a fight that people were hoping to see, and he beat Lopez twice. Actually, the fight that people wanted to see was Lopez versus one Yuriokis Gamboa. That was a super fight that folks wanted to see. Unfortunately, Lopez could not get past Salido, so we never got to see that fight. So I'm very impressed to see him beat this guy twice. In his third fight, I'm talking about Lomachenko. Now, this is March of 2014. In June, he defeats Gary Russell Jr. by majority decision. And keep this in mind, Gary Russell Jr. had 24 professional fights, and he was undefeated, and he beat him by majority decision. So hopefully that's a rematch that people want to see. And that fight was for the vacant WBO featherweight championship. So I know that's a rematch that I myself would like to see. In June of 2016, he defeats Roman Martinez by knockout in the 5th round to win the junior lightweight championship. Now, here's where people really started to pay attention to one Lomachenko. November of 2016, a referee stoppage against the undefeated 26-0 Nicholas Axeman Walters. Now, let me tell you how dangerous Walters was. He had back-to-back KO victories in the 5th round over Vic Darchinyan, and what's more telling was his TKO victory pretty much beat up Nonito Donaire. And for those of you who know, in that division, Nonito Donaire, even though Pacquiao got a lot of the attention, and rightfully so, but Donaire was considered another top Filipino fighter, and Walters beat him up. Now, even though Donaire lost a close, I would say a unanimous decision to one Guillermo Rigondeaux, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, that was really the first time that he was really beat up. And Walters beat the hell out of Donaire, and I didn't think that Lomachenko was going to win that fight. And it was starting to be a competitive fight where I thought that Lomachenko started to pull ahead, and inexplicably Walters decided to not come out of his corner, and he quit on his stool. Say what you want. Very impressive performance. Which leads to April of 2017. Jason Sosa quits on his stool in the 9th round. In August of 2017, Miguel Mariaga quits on the stool in the 7th round. Another fight that got people's attention was December of 2017 versus the aforementioned Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, Guillermo Rigondeaux, again, was one of the top Olympics. Won gold medals as well in the 2000 Sydney Games at bantamweight and the 2004 Games in Athens, again at the bantamweight division. And Rigondeaux was 17-0, hadn't lost a fight up until that time from 2003. So from 2003 until 2017, he had not lost a fight. And this is also Rigondeaux beating Donaire. And again, a lot of people decided against fighting Rigondeaux. They said he had a very safety-first style. Style wasn't very pleasing to the public, so he wasn't a big draw. But people definitely wanted to see the fight, so I'm definitely was impressed by Rigondeaux. Again, I respect guys like Hopkins. You don't have to make it look good to the public. As long as you're winning, they can't ignore you. And he decided not to come out of his corner in the 6th round. So you have 4 straight fights, 2 top fighters that Lomachenko made quit on his stool. Very impressive. May of 2018, a TKO victory in the 10th round versus Jorge Linares to win the WBA and the Ring Lightweight Championship. And again, he survived a knockdown in the 6th round and proceeds to knock him out with a body shot and wins a unanimous decision in London, England over Luke Campbell. winning the vacant WBC lightweight championship. So this is really a unification fight, a fight to really unify the lightweight championship. This is a fight that's very exciting, and as I stated before, this fight matches a guy with tremendous punching power that does Lopez have, as well as a guy with Lomachenko with enough footwork and boxing skills and ability. He can mix up the attack. He uses beautiful angles, excellent boxing, moving in and out, finding ranges. Now, this is one of those fights where a lot of people would want to pick the harder puncher. My pick for this fight is going to be Lomachenko, solely because I think he's a more spectacular boxer. Now, I do respect the fact that Mr. Lopez Sr., his father and head trainer, was clearly watching film on Lomachenko, trying to devise a strategy, trying to say he keeps moving in one direction. We have something for that. So clearly, the father, the trainer, is trying to come up with a battle plan to fight Lomachenko, but I think it's one of those you can't find enough sparring partners who are good enough who can really emulate Lomachenko. So that's why I think that I'm picking Lomachenko to win the fight. I'm picking by unanimous decision. Again, I pick him to win the fight. Some people might say knockout. I'm going to say unanimous decision. And that's simply just outboxing this kid. And let me say this. I know that we lived in the Mayweather world where if a fighter loses a fight, all of a sudden he's not that good anymore. If Lopez loses this fight, do not count this kid out. You can always go back to your drawing board because you have one loss. So all of a sudden now people don't want to see you anymore. And that's the Floyd Mayweather effect. You know, his record, and people want to see him lose. And of course, I think if Floyd was to ever lose a fight at that time, people would have said he was overrated. So I think we still have a little bit of carryover from that. But if Lopez loses this fight, or whoever loses this fight, don't count them out as not being a top flight fighter. That's why I'm picking Lomachenko. I think he has the better resume. He's fought the stiffer competition, and he's a flat out better boxer. So I'm definitely excited for the fight. You can check us out on Twitter at radio_chin. I know a lot of people on Twitter are just picking Lomachenko to just roll through this kid. I don't think so. I think youth and energy does stand for something. The kid doesn't seem to be afraid, and I think that's also going to help him out. But I think what's going to happen when you hit this guy, you might be able to knock him down. But what's going to happen when you hit this guy with your best punch and he's not going down, or you swing this guy with your best punch and you can't connect, or when you finally do connect, it doesn't have the same power as it did before. So that's something interesting. We're definitely looking forward to seeing that fight. And of course, after we get through watching that fight, we're going to give our review of the fight. So until next time, this is Chin Check Radio, sign off.